Hello, welcome back to another episode of Initial Impressions. My name is Kayli Pommering and I'll be your host today. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you feel more at peace. In every single episode, that's always my goal. I try to share as many tangible tools as I can to help you up-level your life and become the best version of yourself. So today's podcast episode, I'm going to be doing that through talking about when it's time to start something new. I think this is something that I hear about so often, and people are just like, oh, I've always kind of wanted to do this, or, one day I'll do that, and I just feel kind of afraid, or I feel like it's still not the right time yet. And I feel like a lot of times people put off doing something for the wrong reasons. They think that all of a sudden, when they go to start something new, if it's the right time, it's no longer going to be scary, or it's no longer going to be uncomfortable, or everyone around them is going to tell them that they should be doing it before, so they get this external validation that makes them feel like, okay, well, everybody said I should be doing it, so now I really know that I should be. And if you wait around for all of those things to start something new, unfortunately, you never will start. I'm going to share a couple ways that it's time to start something new and how to embrace the discomfort and learn what that really means as you're entering into that new chapter for yourself. So one of the biggest ways to know that you're supposed to start something new is when you're feeling extremely redundant, mundane. You feel bored with your life. If you are feeling that way, it is absolutely time to hit shuffle on some things. It is time to get it going, to get some action happening, whether that's not even necessarily saying that you need to go and build the whole business tomorrow, or find your purpose today. It's just enter that journey of starting to entertain those ideas, maybe reading about some of the things that interest you, maybe allowing yourself to daydream a little bit more about the stuff that you've always kind of felt called to. You don't have to share these things with other people, because actually when your dreams are really early on, when they're just baby dreams, you don't want to tell people about them. And that is because a lot of people will unknowingly project the limitations that they believe for themselves onto you. So they'll say, oh, that's really hard. I don't know if you can do that. Or that's going to take a lot of time. Or that's going to take a lot of money. Or how are you going to do X, Y, Z? And they're going to throw all the doubts at you. They're going to throw all the limitations at you. But the reality is that if this is what you're supposed to do, if this is what you feel called to do, everything will fall into line. Even when it seems like it's falling apart, it's not. It's all going to be serving a greater purpose. There's going to be a lesson learned, and you're going to have a path that looks totally different than anyone else's, even if they have the same goal as you. Maybe if they have a similar trajectory as you, it's going to happen in a different way because you are unique. You have a very unique vision of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and that is going to call you into steps and conversations that other people can't have, or other people wouldn't notice, opportunities that somebody else might miss. You will not miss them because they are for you. So when you introduce your baby dreams and people can just squash them right in front of you, and it's heartbreaking and it sets you back and it's a waste of time. They don't know what you can do. They don't know what you're supposed to do. They can't even begin to imagine how beautifully things are going to unfold for you because you are in your purpose. And there will be some people that do understand that. And if you want to talk about your goals and your dreams with some of your closest people, consider if they are open-minded enough to recognize that you have different skills than they do. So something that may be impossible for them is absolutely 100% possible for you. So unless you feel confident about that, keep those dreams to yourself in those early stages when you're feeling too insecure about them to fully defend that they are indeed what you feel called to. The next way that you know that it's time for you to start something new is when you're feeling a little bit afraid of sharing it. When it comes to your mind and you think about doing it, you think about creating it, you think about sharing it, there's this little part of you that feels afraid. That means that it really matters to you. Fear around something is such an indicator of passion. And a lot of the times we don't let the passion fully develop because we see the fear and we turn away from it. We think, oh, that's too scary. I don't want to look at it. But if you allow yourself to fully look at it, you'll realize that that fear is a protective mechanism, something that is shielding your passion, shielding your purpose, shielding your talent, your vulnerability. And that special part of you that you feel just a tad bit uneasy, maybe super uneasy about sharing with the world, that is something that you are supposed to share. Before I started my podcast, oh my God, I felt so uneasy about doing this. I mean, incredibly uneasy. And then even recently, I've been writing poetry my entire life. I've been writing like little short paragraphs and like inspirational stuff for like a really long time. And I tend to just kind of channel them into the podcast where I feel like it's my little safe zone. If you come on here, you know what we're here for, you know what we're doing. But I've been nervous to share those things onto my social media, but I've been feeling a little bit of fear around it, and I'm thinking, okay, that means I'm supposed to do it. That means that this is something that really matters to me, and I'm creating this work for myself. I'm creating this work because I want to make a positive impact on the world. And if that means that I post it and only 3 people see it and only 3 people love it and it really impacts their day and it really impacts the way that they feel, then it's worth it. And I am learning to trust the process with those things. So don't think for a second that I don't also get uncomfortable when I'm sharing things that are dear to me. I absolutely do. When I first started modeling, oh my God, I felt incredibly vulnerable because I'm like, I don't look like a lot of these girls. I don't have a lot of the same qualities and, measurements and heights and all the things. And eventually I had to learn to embrace my uniqueness and embrace my own confidence in myself and respect my body for the way that it looks. It's a vessel for something, for my unique soul, and just like every single other body is. And I think what truly makes someone beautiful is their complete acceptance of who they are and how they look. And so, in these different areas, I've kind of been scared, and then I'm just like, I'm kind of magnetized towards fear now because I'm like, I start to get afraid and I'm like, yes, that matters to me. Yes, I need to do it. Yes, it's going to make me uncomfortable. Yes, it's going to make other people uncomfortable because they're going to see me coming out of a shell that they're not used to seeing me come out of. And that kind of brings me back to an obstacle that you might go through, undoubtedly will. And that is that we tend to grow up with people who see us as a version of ourselves. They see where we came from. They know where they came from. And when you start to surpass what they believed they're capable of or what they believed you were capable of, it can make them uncomfortable. And they can sometimes try to shrink you back down into the little box that you are expanding out of by telling you that it's not going to work, by saying, you should just give up, you should do something safe, you should do something secure. But what I would like to challenge is, how secure is it really? How safe is it really if you're not enjoying where you're at? Because a lot of people will say, well, what if you fail? It depends on what you define as failure. Is failure trying something new and having to go at it for a while to see external success, even though internally you're feeling super elated about sharing it with the world? Or is failure never showing the real you, never following your true passions, and doing a mundane job that you hate for the rest of your life, so that way you can make ends meet? The second one is failure to me. So I will gladly get uncomfortable and try new things repetitively, so that way I can feel like I'm living in complete alignment. Now, when you're ready to make this step, right? When you're ready to start going into this new journey, there's something that I want you to know. It is going to take a lot of energy out of you. And what I mean by that is, let's say on your day-to-day basis, to go to work and keep your house tidy, and maybe you work out or you got to cook dinner. Those things all take up energy. And you sleep and you consume certain foods, and it's a repetitive cycle that fuels your regular state of energy that you have on a day-to-day basis. When you want to change, when you want to add something new, it takes up more of your energy. And so in preparation for that, you need to consider what you need to feel supported and energized. And you need to consider what it is that's in your life that is actually taking a lot of energy out of you. For example, let's say when I leave my house, my phone is on 60%. I know that I'm going to be out for 10 more hours and I don't have a charger on me. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to spend excessive amounts of time on social media. I'm not going to spend excessive amounts of time recording things because I know that those things are going to drain my battery a lot, and then my phone might die before I'm able to use my maps to get home. Do you see what I'm getting at? So you need to think about your day-to-day basis. Okay, if I'm going to go to the gym today and I don't normally do that, then I need to make sure that I go to bed an hour earlier. So maybe that means I'm watching an hour less of TV than I normally watch. So you have to think about those kinds of things, because if you expect to be able to do more on the same amount of energy output that you had with your old lifestyle, you're going to end up disappointing yourself time and time again. If you want something new in your life, if you want to grow in a new way, if you want to start a new habit, if you want to create a new business, you have to think about your energy inputs and your energy outputs and find ways to make yourself the most productive version of you. That also includes your emotions. How you're feeling emotionally can have a huge impact on the amount of energy that you feel like you have to output. And so you need to think about, who are the people who make me feel insecure, who make me feel unsupported? And you need to spend less time around those individuals. If you're not ready to terminate those relationships or those friendships, you don't have to go, full throttle, but you can ease it up a little bit. Maybe you only see them once a week instead of 3 or 4 times a week. You have to think about how you can protect your peace and your energy during this transitional time period of your life. At the end of the day, the unknown is always going to be uncomfortable, and other people seeing the unknown in you is going to also make them uncomfortable. They're going to want you to go back into that box, and that's because they're scared to leave theirs. But when you fiercely and passionately go towards what it is that you feel called for, you're going to inspire more people to be willing to step out of their own boxes. And you may not even get to know the impact you're having. A lot of people won't tell you, and that's okay, because you're doing this for you at the end of the day. But give yourself a pat on the back for also knowing that you're being a part of a movement in which we're encouraging people to live the most aligned versions of themselves, to live lives that they love, to build their life with habits and things that excite them. What a beautiful world it would be if we all were doing what we loved. That is an opportunity. That is a possibility. We can do that. I shared some of my writing earlier, and one of the things that I said in it is, no matter how good or bad one's life appears to be from the outside, we all look around and see mountains that we don't know how to climb. I've seen that. I've seen people come from money or without money, from addiction, from healthy homes, from high education to really shitty education. I've seen so many different people, and we may not struggle in the same ways, but we all see a mountain that we do not know how to climb. And so have a little peace in that. Yes, certain people do have certain advantages. Every single person does, though. And something that I've come to learn for myself is that my trauma was also an advantage for me. I learned a lot of things about people, about the world, about empathy, about emotions, about what really can go wrong when you don't take care of your emotional needs. And while some people might say, okay, how are your parents being addicts, or you being homeless, or you going through this or that? How could that possibly be a privilege? It was. It enabled me. It made me stronger. And you have the choice in front of you to sit there and look at your background and say, this disqualifies me or this qualifies me. And I will choose to say, this qualifies me. This qualifies to allow me to help others and to truly see the power of just not giving up. How much can be accomplished if you just don't listen to everyone telling you that you're not good enough or that you can't do it. You can do it. Whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it. You are meant to do it. That's why you want to do it. And when you deny yourself of that, that's why you feel shitty. So don't give up. When you feel that little fear about being vulnerable, about sharing that thing, that means it matters to you. When you feel scared of the unknown, of course you do. Do you think anyone feels not scared of the unknown? There's nobody that feels not scared of the unknown. If they're not scared of it, it's because it's known for them. Now, we all have different things that are unknown and known to each of us. So when you branch out into this new chapter, yes, it's going to be scary. Yes, there's going to be an unknown factor to it. But if you learn to let that exhilarate you, you are reaching for something beyond anything that you've ever experienced before. How cool is that? Like, who cares if at the end of it, you decide this isn't really for you and you need to do something else? Every little thing is giving you a different tool, giving you a different perspective that you can just take and shift and mold into the next chapter of your life. So be willing to be fluid with it. Be willing to follow your passions and your excitement. And when that little bit of fear comes up, know that that's just pushing you all the more. You're meant for this. You can do this. And I want you to really think about what it is that you feel a little nervous to share. What is it that you feel a pull in, a little direction in? Maybe it's something from your childhood that you used to think that you wanted to do so bad. Maybe you wanted to dance. Maybe you wanted to sing. Maybe you wanted to create art. Maybe you wanted to be an astronaut. I don't care what it is. Start looking into those things. You may not actually become the dancer, but you might find out that you love being a choreographer. You may not actually become an astronaut. Maybe you'll teach a science class. Like, who knows? The opportunities are endless. So see where those little passions and pulls take you, and just be open. Just be open to seeing where it might lead, what it might invoke in you. So I hope this episode was helpful. If it was, if it helped you feel a little bit more comfortable stepping into this unknown territory, if it made you feel a little bit more validated about the fact that you are supposed to do this after all, if you felt a little bit seen or heard, if that's the case, then please share it, like, subscribe, all the things, maybe even leave a review if you're feeling like it. But I appreciate you so much for tuning in, and I hope, as always, that you are leaving more at peace than you came.